Ever since I was a youngin', I've wanted to be a game designer. This is something I assume a lot of people say at least once in their life, but unlike those liars, I actually mean it. I have a lot of respect for the art of game design, the passion that goes into it, the limitless ideas that come out of it, and the blood, sweat, tears, and urine sacrificed in order to satisfy the need to create. And you can get a condensed version of that by doing a game jam. What's a game jam? Well, it's not something you can put on your toast, I can guarantee that. Thank you. I'm trying to be a better writer, I swear. A game jam is an event where a bunch of people who really hate each other gather to take their suppressed anger out on making video games. Well, until they start hitting each other because of the lack of sleep. It's something that's been happening for quite a while now, and recently there was an attempt to get this kind of thing into a wider circle, which is something I'd like to see someday. But instead, what we got was one of the most disgusting displays of disrespect I've ever seen for game design. You see that alliteration there? Yeah, that's nice. Today's topic is the Polaris Game Jam, and it caused controversy. I wonder if anyone outside the gaming community knows what this is, and well, I don't blame you if you don't. I mean, I didn't hear about it until I watched Angry Joe's 2014 controversy list at the beginning of 2015. It's a rather obscure incident that has since been put to rest, but as with all controversies within the gaming world, has never been forgotten. And I really hope this is never forgotten, because, well, it is quite something to behold. So strap yourselves in, folks. This is a story of greed, rebellion, lost potential, and most importantly, shitty soda. Looking at the before period, it seems like the Polaris Game Jam had the greatest intentions. Polaris and Maker wanted to bring game jams to a wider audience, utilizing their content creator partners and game industry connections to do so. After bringing these people together, they would be separated into teams and do their own projects within 4 days, like any other game jam out there. The entire event would be recorded and edited into a documentary-style series that would be showcased on Polaris' site for all to see. So while it's obvious they intended for this project to be profitable, this was a great idea on paper. But then came the question of budget. Something like this would have to cost a considerable amount of money to make, so where do you get the money? Simple. Sponsorships. Now this is actually very common with game jams, especially large ones. You need a large budget if you're going to be temporarily housing upwards of 100 people for the next few days, and that future power bill will definitely not help matters. Well, Polaris and Maker ended up getting a budget of $450,000. Very courteous of the sponsor to give that amount for such an event. I wonder who it is. Uh-oh. Yes, out of all the possible sponsorships, Polaris and Maker chose fucking Pepsi. I'm pretty sure that whenever someone gets sponsored by Pepsi, they have a 50% chance of getting their shit ruined. 75% if it involves the music industry. Still, I suppose Pepsi had been given the benefit of the doubt, and Polaris and Maker had guaranteed their presence wouldn't be felt by the participants. Which reminds me, the participants. They got some notable participants on board for this thing. Let's just go down the list here. Okay, here we are. Adriel Wallach, Mark Fishbach, aka Markiplier, Robin Arnett, Cale Bradbury, Jonathan Jafari, aka Jontron, Zoe Quinn, Samuel Thorne, aka Strippin, Jordan Marin, aka Captain Sparkles, Joe Vergas, aka Angry Joe, yeah, of course, Kelly Santiago, Mark Essen, Davey Redden? Wow. I mean, again, this is Polaris, but damn, this was impressive. How can you go wrong with this? How indeed. The competition, at first, seemed structured like a game jam. Like I said, participants had been separated into different teams and were told to come up with a game and prototype in 4 days. Simple enough, and that's what a game jam is, of course. However, almost immediately as soon as the event started, something strange happened. A strange drink had been brought out to the participants, and they were told that they would be drinking this product throughout the duration of the event. They would also participate in challenges, where the reward would be more of the drinking product, and other various items themed after the drinking product. And when they stopped wasting time with those challenges and got to the game development, they would still be drinking this product, because the participants couldn't drink anything that wasn't. the drinking product. And the people who brought the drinking product said they would be watching how they drank the product, correcting them whenever they felt the participants weren't enjoying the product enough, even yelling at them. The product, of course, was Pepsi's own Mountain Dew. The supposed gamer fuel that supposedly fuels gamers for supposed reasons, yes, that dew. But I'm not kidding when I say that the dew was everywhere. All of it. On their desks, their computers, the drawing boards, the walls, the floors, the fucking ceiling. It was dew, 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 dew. I mean, I am exaggerating. I wasn't there myself, but still, there was a lot of dew there. But despite that, despite the agitation, despite the blatant product placement, and despite the lying being already pushed as far as it could go, the participants kept going, trying to salvage the event by just focusing on the games. As much as I hate to say it though, the worst had yet to come. At that point, it was clear that Pepsi's role in the event was far beyond just funding it. No, they saw what Polaris and Maker saw, a profit, and decided to go all in. And of course, that meant changing the entire format of the event. Instead of a documentary-style series where the competition was minimal and everyone was there to have fun, Pepsi tried to turn the thing into a stupid reality show. In order to try and maintain that goal, they sent someone to the event as sort of a middleman. That person, the CEO of a branding company called PROTAGONIST, was named Matty Lesham. And he would be the downfall of the Polaris Game Jam. Being a sleazy cockhead with no self-respect or integrity whatsoever, Lesham's approach towards making the event into a reality show involved trying to provoke the participants into saying what he wanted them to say through disingenuous means. One of his most memorable attempts was when he approached a few teams with women on them and dropped this little question. Do you think that you have an advantage because you have a pretty girl on your team? After being blown off by these teams, Lesham instead went over to an all-male team and asked them a similarly idiotic question. Do you think the teams with women on them are at a disadvantage? With that, Lesham did manage to get a rise out of some of the participants, except it had been directed at him. What the team said instead of what he wanted them to say was actually quite positive. Something like everyone there was strong and they had all brought something unique and valuable to the table in terms of game development. But Lesham, unmoved, just cut off the camera since there wasn't a story going on. And that was the fuck it point. By the end of the first day of filming, all the participants had walked out. All hope of saving this doomed thing was lost, and quitting was the only way out. Even though Doucham got the boot too, nothing could be done to save the Polaris Game Jam, as well as the 450,000 Washington faces it took to start the damn thing. After my first time looking through this controversy, all I could do was just shake my head. I know this had the best intentions, but it had been botched from the start, and what it turned into was gross. It may not mean a lot to you, and that's fine. I'm not trying to say this is the downfall of mankind or anything. But as a game developer myself, this was a giant slap to the face. The blatant contempt and disregard for what this whole event was really about from Twatcham, it just infuriates me. And there were so many other ways Polaris and Maker could have attained the budget to make this. So many other trustworthy sponsors. Hell, something like this could have been crowdfunded. And this is coming from a guy who couldn't give less of a shit about crowdfunding. But it just doesn't make me angry. It makes me sad. As pretentious as this sounds, I think that we have yet to see the art of game development get the exposure I believe it deserves. It's unfortunate we may not see another attempt for a long time. There is one chance, though. Shortly after the event had crumbled, Zoquin immediately started up a new project, something similar to what the Polaris Game Jam was supposed to be, Rebel Jam. However, considering this is Zoe Quinn we're talking about, by the way, yes, I'll do an episode about Depression Quest eventually, the whole thing is swamped with a load of conspiracy theories, like how this is a scam because it's been announced since early 2014 and nothing's happened yet, and how Zoe Quinn purposely sabotaged the Polaris game jam in order for this new one to happen. It's kinda summed up in this aptly named article, though it's also been countered by this article. Guess whose story I believe more? It's not a hard guess, because the day I take anything these people say seriously is the day my ritual suicide begins. So consider these next few sentences a plea to Quinn or anyone wanting to do something like this. Please make it happen. I want to see my favorite game designers and content creators experience the joy of game development. I want to see the intensity of a game jam, the rush that one feels when working in the high-pressure environment game jams provide. But most of all, I want more people to know that there's more to making video games than meets the eye, and game jams help in realizing that. I don't know if any of them will watch this, and this is pretty much a shot in the dark, but I suppose it's worth a try. Suffice to say, I don't like the series of events that occurred within this controversy. However, in an age where people are becoming increasingly aware of how large corporations are fucking us over, especially in the video game market, this is one controversy that needs to be remembered. Stuff like this is preventable, and the more people that know what not to do when dealing with corporate sponsors, the better. Besides my hope for Rebel Jam, the point of this episode was not really to review the controversy, but to make my small audience aware of this travesty. And as for a rating, well, for something that affected me greatly, even if I had no part in it, I think it's wrong to stick an arbitrary number onto the whole thing. And you know what? I'm gonna diss the rating system altogether. I never really took it seriously to begin with, and review scores just aren't for me in general. I could go on and on about this shit forever, but I think I got the point across. Stay safe out there, kids. Now the only thing I have to worry about is coming up with a funny pun that involves either Mountain Dew or Pepsi to end this. Do not drink from this mountain, have a Pepsi-Cola instead.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.